Good evening, everybody. I hope you're having a blessed Tuesday. I'm very excited because we got some rain here. And if you guys are in Colorado, you know that we desperately need the rain with the fires that are going on everywhere. And so I want to encourage you all, just continue to just pray for the rain to come and help to put out these fires, and continue to just pray for all the firefighters, all those that have lost their homes, all of those that have been evacuated and are going through difficult times. And then even those that are in these surrounding cities that we're in, where we're dealing with a lot of this smoke. It's like a smoke pit outside, so it's like walking into smoke. And then even just the health effects it could have. I know people are having issues with like throat, and then like headache, and just not feeling well because of all the smoke, even some foggy headedness. So continue to just lift up these prayers for rain and all the people and everyone involved. And let's continue to just stick together and support everyone during this time, and continue to pray for the rain. Jesus, let it rain. So we're just praying for more rain. So I have not been on the last 2 Mondays. I want to let you guys know I will continue next Monday. I was taking some time off to do some other things, and so it is summertime, but I will be back on next Monday to teach, and I'm really excited for what the Lord has given me to bring forth in those messages. We're gonna get stretched. We're gonna get stretched together. So I'll see y'all next Monday. But as for tonight, I'm very excited about the guests that I'm going to bring on. She's a friend of mine. Her name is Dr. AngieChoyce. Hi, Dr. Angie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. And so I just wanted to tell you, I did listen to a teaching that you did. I know that you're out of Fresh Wind International, and you had taught recently, and I was able to join that teaching. And you really walk in that office of a teacher, and it's just beautiful. I love listening to you teach. So I just want to tell you, the way that we go tonight, just act like you're teaching, and I'll just soak it up. Okay. So if you just, good. Yeah. So if you want to just go ahead and share a little bit, I know that you were in Denver, right? But now you don't live in Denver. So if you want to share a little bit about yourself, and then we'll just get into some questions.
Okay. Well, I'm doctor only because I did get my doctorate degree back in 2015. So was excited to do that. And which was ironic because I never wanted to go to college when I graduated high school. So I didn't.
Wow.
So I actually didn't start a college career until my 40th birthday.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And started out, and for 9 years straight, I got a bachelor's, a master's, and a doctorate. So that was awesome. But yeah, I lived in Colorado for 27 years. I originally moved there from Illinois. I was a hairstylist at the time. I was a trainer, so I got transferred to Colorado. So that's how I got there. But recently, with my age and other things going on, we wanted some warmer weather. And so we allowed my friend Jessica to talk us into moving to Jackson, Tennessee. So we've been here now just a little under 5 years.
Okay, so tell me about the food.
Oh, it's not what I thought. I thought, being in the South, I was going to get all the, and I'm biased though, because I think I'm a great cook. So,
good things.
So, yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It really isn't, but it's not right where I want it to be.
No,
but it's a lot. I mean, where I live, it's a lot of chicken, and I'm not a chicken person. But they have all these chicken restaurants around here.
So they don't have like a lot of like barbecue and stuff like that?
They have a couple, and there's some that are, in other towns. So if we want to experiment, we'll just take a drive somewhere in one of the other towns and check them out. But right here in Jackson, we're considered the hub city. So there are a lot of restaurants here. So people from surrounding cities come here a lot for the food. And they're actually building new stuff. Like there was 3 restaurants that opened today, today. Yeah. And one was a barbecue restaurant. So we will be checking that one out.
Well, nice. And so what do you notice out there that's different than in Colorado, as far as food goes and culture and things like that?
It's very slow paced because it is the South. And growing up in Illinois near Chicago, and then moving to Denver, that was slow to me when I moved to Denver. This is slower. So yeah, so everybody's pretty much laid back. But what I love is the friendliness. I don't care where we go, somebody's going to say hello. I think my husband's been called darling and baby a million times since we've been here. And I'm sweetie honey.
Oh,
So
yeah,
they're so
sweetie
nice.
honey.
People are so nice. And I
Oh,
really enjoy that.
did you adopt that? Are you going to start calling us sweetie honey when we see you?
You know what? That might be a good idea.
I like that. I do.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's adorable. I love
Yeah.
that. I'd love it if somebody was telling me, hi, sweetie honey. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's so cute.
It is. It's really refreshing.
Yeah. So I love the different cultures and the different, just the way that different environments are and cultures in different places. And so I
Yeah.
love to hear about that type of stuff. And so, I know it was really great to spend some time with you when we went through our ordination a while back. And so it's good to see you in person, and very lovely, and meet your husband, and just really good time that we were able to have together.
Yeah, it was
So
great.
it's nice to see you again.
Yes.
And so I did want to ask you a couple questions. I know that you wrote a book. I know that you have an amazing testimony. I'd really like you just to be transparent and share whatever it is that you want to share. I will just flow with you in any way that you want me to. And I'll just ask you a couple questions, and then we'll just roll with it and see where God takes us. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
All right. So I wanted to ask you about your book. And do you want to say the name of your book and how they can order it?
Yeah, so the book is Trauma, Tragedy, Heartbreak, and Pain, but God Said, I've Got You. And it is on Amazon. It's both in paperback and ebook. So yeah, go on and grab you a copy. You know, it's a good book. I was shocked when I read it myself. I'm like, oh, I did pretty good.
Wow. You know what's really neat about that is I don't have a copy of my book around, but I wrote a book too. And hi, Regina. I have a book that I wrote, and it's just like, it's with the hands of the Lord, like coming down too. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh. And I've seen your book before, but when it was right there, it was right in front of my face, and it just clicked for me. Yeah. And so, wow, I love that. So did you get that vision when you were doing that? Did the Lord kind of show you what the book was going to look like? Did you get kind of like a vision of how to do it?
I did. And actually, a lot of that came from a prophetic word I had gotten from my friend Chantel Williams. And
do you want to share it with us?
So I was going through a huge trauma at that time. And it was I was having difficulties not only in my health, but in my marriage. And I remember her calling to check on me. And I even put it in the book. And she said, she's heard the Lord say, I'm going to answer your prayer, but you got to stop slapping my hand away.
Oh, wow.
And she said she saw a vision of the hands coming down towards me. But in that vision, I kept slapping them away. So when I thought of the cover of the book, I figured I want those hands to come down, but I want to be in submission.
Wow.
And so that's why you see on my knees.
Oh my gosh, I love that. It's so beautiful. And then the doves and everything. And what is that, like a Bible, or what is the book right there?
Yes, that's a Bible.
Yeah, and then like all the flowers, and it's beautiful. I love the cover. It's a very pretty cover. Guys need to go get you a copy. And so I wanted to ask you, well, we're going to hop to the second thing I was going to ask you, but just because we just looked at the book. So what does the title of the book mean to you? Because we just saw the title. What does the title mean to you?
So the title came from, this is a memoir of my life. And so I've been through trauma. I've been through tragedy. I've been through heartache, and I've been through pain. And through it all, God had me the whole time. But it took me a long time to really not only figure it out, but to accept it as well. You know, I gave my life to the Lord when I was 14 years old, but I didn't know him the way I should have known him. I didn't have a good intimate relationship with him, because I wasn't taught how to really do that for a long time. And being a teenager, of course, I, wanted to do my thing still at the same time. But throughout my life, I've been through a lot of things that have hurt me, have traumatized me, just a lot of things. And so I figured that I would write about that. And basically it started out, I was just journaling, going through some steps as I was with a counselor at the time, and just going through some steps, writing some things out. One thing I always learned when I was a teenager is if I couldn't talk to anybody about something, write it down. And so because I was going through a really hard time, I began to write things down of what was happening at that moment. But then other things kept coming. Like I kept getting triggered for things that happened in the past and things that had gone on in my past and how I hadn't resolved this or that or how they were resolved. Mm-hmm. And so I just began to write those things down. I never really thought it would be a book, to be honest. I was just trying to get out my emotions and get out my feelings and maybe have some inner healing. Right. But it first came from Prophetess Sparkle that you need to write a book. God is saying, you need to write a book. Yeah. We need to hear your story. And then Prophet Albert said, write the whole story, and then Dr. Carla. So I finally decided, okay, I'm going to be obedient. But it took me 5 years because it was really hard to look back and write those things down because one, I thought I was going to offend people in my family. Mm. And so I figured and first I tried to glaze over certain things and make them sound okay. But that's when I got that prophecy from Prophet Albert that says, no, write the whole thing. And so, I began to write more.
Yeah. And so in that transparency, it really does need to be there. That's really what affects people. But what you said isn't uncommon for people to be concerned when they are coming out with something and having to be transparent and vulnerable about the people around them. Mm-hmm. It can be a difficult thing, but I think that you're probably just looking forward to just this giving the glory to God, and it all needs to be shown, right?
Yeah. Because I've always had this passion of helping other people. Mm-hmm. And so even when I was just journaling, I had people I hadn't heard from in years, or even somebody I just met, just tell me a story of what they were going through. And the thing was, it was something I was going through at the exact same time. Wow. And the stories mimicked each other so much, it was scary almost. I'm like, oh my God, it's like looking in the mirror, but at another person. Mm-hmm. And so even though I was in a really dark place at that time, I just felt more compelled to pray for that person or talk with that person more. And the more I prayed with them and talked with them, the more I start to heal a little bit. Wow. And so I thought, okay, well, I can do this. I can do this part, because I thought, okay, that would take me away from my own thoughts of my own situations. But unfortunately, those situations come up again when you're alone and in the dark, right, trying to sleep. But the more I prayed for others, the more I felt compelled to help others. Mm. And so I felt that my story would help someone else. And so that was always my mission.
Mm-hmm. So it's like kind of what Joseph said in the Bible with his brothers. When his brothers came, he said, what the enemy meant for evil, God used it for good, because now you're just paying it forward and able to help others through their difficult times. Yes. But if you never went through it, you wouldn't be able to pour into them like that.
Exactly.
Right. And so that's beautiful. Yeah. I did want to ask you, can you walk us through your testimony and how it relates to the message of the book? And I know you like you said, there's a lot there, but just whatever the Lord puts on your heart in regards to the book, whatever it is that the Lord's given you for tonight, the parts of your testimony to share, sure. We'd love to hear.
Sure. Okay. So in the book, again, we're talking about multiple things, right? Trauma, tragedy, heartbreak, pain. And the whole thing is, sometimes, like me, you can go through all of those things at the same time.
Yes.
It's not like a tragedy over here or your pain stricken over here. I was going through things all at the same time. And so it can be overwhelming. One, it happened when I was a teenager. I had gone through sexual assault at the age of 7, 9, and 11. And so those triggers kept coming up because at that time, unfortunately, My husband and I were going through almost a divorce at the time, because of his infidelity. And it felt like infidelity to me was I was being emotionally raped. And so
Mm.
because I felt that way, it triggered the memories of the sexual assaults when I was a child. So that compounded my misery and also tailwind me to almost want to take my life. Actually, I actually made that plan and attempted to take my life. I decided I was going to drive my car into a wall. Yeah, and you're in Colorado, so 25, 225 going into 25,
Mhm.
that curve. I said I was going to crash my car. Soon as I got ready to turn my wheel, I heard audibly, "No," and then I couldn't turn the wheel. So I knew it was God. I knew it was Him saying no. And so, but the trauma was still there and all of that. And on top of that, I had just gone through several surgeries because of a work accident. And so I was recovering, but yet I was still having issues. I had just found out I needed a sixth surgery.
Can you go into that a little bit? Like
Yeah.
what
So,
happened?
so in December, actually it was December 30th of 2014, I worked for Frontier Airlines.
Mm.
And that particular morning, it was 5 below zero. It was cold. And I was a gate agent. And I went out to meet the incoming aircraft. It was about 5:36 in the morning. And so if you walk on, when you walk onto the airplane, you see that black area right before you step onto the plane. Well, that had black ice on it. I didn't know at the time, but it had black ice on it. And so after I drove that jet bridge up to the aircraft, when I stepped off the little platform, my whole body flew up in the air and I came slamming down on my left side. And so at that time, I thought, first I was all embarrassed because I could see the flight attendant looking out of their window. And so I just thought, okay, I fell. It hurt. Yes, it really hurt. But, I'd be okay. Went in the bathroom, saw it was swelling, saw it was bruised. And, I thought, I'm going to be okay because 2 days after that, I was supposed to go to Vegas to meet my new granddaughter. And my supervisor sent me home and said, call urgent care if it continues, the pain continues. Well, by the middle of the night, I was in excruciating pain.
Mm.
And so I ended up going to urgent care at 8 o'clock that morning. And that's when everything just took a turn, for the worse. And it took, until October of 2015 for workers' comp to actually do anything about it. And by then, my pain and the mobility had gotten worse. And I found out that I had hit my hip so hard that it stopped the blood flow. And so my bone was deteriorating. And I still had to fight even 2 years after that to get my first hip replacement. But 6 months into my new hip replacement, I had gotten an infection. And so it loosened. And I had to get another hip replacement. But for 2 years after that, I still had pain. It was dislocating. It was doing all kinds of stuff. Well, come to find out later, the infection hadn't been cleaned all the way out. And so at this time, when I was going through this trauma with my husband, when I was going through finding out I needed surgery, I found out I needed, they called it a twofer. They needed to take everything out, put a antibiotic spacer in that area and let it sit for 3 months and then do another hip replacement.
Oh my.
And when they went to take everything out, my femur bone had started to grow over the prosthesis. So they had to break my femur bone to get the metal out.
Oh wow.
So
and that's your biggest bone in the body. That's
yeah. And so I spent nearly 25 days in the hospital and then I had to wait still the 3 months before they can revise it. And even after that, nothing ever really healed completely. Then my femur bone started to deteriorate. So, needless to say, I've had 9 surgeries. I've had several revisions. Um, right before we moved to Tennessee, as a matter of fact, they had to go back in, take everything out again because I had a third infection. So each infection was different than the first, and each one was more severe than the first. Um, they had to cut 8 inches off my femur, rebuild a piece just to connect the new hip replacement to my pelvis, which I had no muscle mass left. It's been gone. I had nerve damage, and they had to put one in. I'm 5'0", and they had to put one in that would fit a 6-foot man, just in order to keep it in place. So it was a lot going. It's been a lot. It was a lot going on, then before 2021 when I had to have that the last one done. But and on top of that, I lost my father, my mother, and my brother during that time.
Oh my.
And so even while trying to heal from surgeries and trying to put my life back together, because I thought I was getting a divorce, I had to take care of the funeral arrangements for all 3. I was always the caregiver, even though I'm the youngest. My brother was older than me. I always had to take care of everything for everybody. And so I always pushed everything back from myself. And I think in a way, that's why everything came flooding forward, because I never dealt with other things concerning me. I was always concerned with helping someone else or doing something for someone else. Because my mom had a stroke when I was 16, her first stroke. So I became her caregiver. And then she had a second one. My brother was schizophrenic and on drugs. I took care of him. My father ended up having a stroke. Oh God, I forget what year that was. I think it was 2010. And so I would fly from Colorado to Chicago, where my dad was, or fly from Colorado to Florida, where my mom was. So I was doing all of this stuff and never taking care of my own situations, because I had already gotten divorced from my first husband, because we had been married 18 years. And that ended because of infidelity. And so here I'm in this second marriage, and it happens again. And I was more crushed with the second, with my husband now, than I was with the first. And I couldn't understand that. Why am I so crushed? I should be able to say, okay, well, I let that one go. I can let this one go. But it was just because God really did put us together. Mm-hmm. Where my first marriage, I got married because I was a teen mom. So it was dealing with that, because I didn't want to get divorced. Mm-hmm. I thought, not again. But at the same time, I didn't want to be disrespected or dishonored. So I had all these different emotions constantly going on. And those were the ones I started to write down. But at the same time, as God began to unpeel all the things that He was doing for me to help me through these things, I started to write those down as well. Mm-hmm. But it took a while, because I had a pad of paper over here. I'm still old fashioned and will write stuff down by hand, that had everything that was negative on it. And it took a while for me to get that next pad of paper and write the good things. It stayed blank for several years. And because I would not recognize that even in all of that, I still got up every morning. Even though I was in pain, I could still function. I was still doing things in the church. I still had my family. I still had my kids. I still had my grandkids. I still had a lot of things that were still a blessing to me, but I got blinded because of what I was going through in those dark places. Right. And I find that even now, a lot of people are in that situation. They can't see the good because they're so focused on the bad. Mm-hmm. And that's why I did adopt the thing to say to God is, in anything now, where are you in this?
Mm.
I was the why me. Why is this happening to me? Why did you let this happen to me? Why? But it wasn't until I start saying, where are you in this? That I can see he started to answer the questions.
Oh, wow.
And Satan comes after us where he knows we are the weakest, or where our vulnerable points, why he knows my family was my vulnerable points.
Mm-hmm.
My marriage was my vulnerable point. So if he can attack those things, just like he attacked Job, because I considered myself like a Job,
Yes.
where he wanted to get me. But what I learned through a lot of that is just as God trusted Job, he trusted me.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest thing that I'm now learning that he trusts me with is my son was killed in 2024, my oldest son.
I'm sorry.
And I thought that was just going to take me over the edge.
Mm-hmm.
And I was praying and I got back into my why issues. Why? Why would you do this? Why would you let this happen to me? This is my child. And my son had bouts with attempted suicide several times during his life. And God allowed him to live through that. I just couldn't imagine why he would let someone kill my son. And so even now, I still struggle. But one thing he did show me is I knew this was going to be hard for you, but I trust you and I'm with you. And I heard those words so clear one night as I was laying in bed praying and crying. And I had to get up and write them down. And so even now, when I have those grief moments, I will read it. I will read that to remind myself that he understands how I feel. He understands my grief. And he should. He lost his son. If you think about it,
Yes.
God lost his son. So yes, he knows how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
And so he is carrying me through that. It's still a rough battle, because I've lost so many. I mean, I've lost my entire immediate family. We were the nuclear. We were the mom, dad, brother, sister. That was it. I have no other siblings. And to lose them all, and then to lose my oldest child, it's been a lot. It's been a lot. But through it all, like the book said, he's got me.
Mm-hmm.
And he assures me of that often, that he's got me.
Wow.
Yeah. So he takes us through so much in our lives, but they're all for a purpose. They're all for a reason. And so the things that I've been going through in my life, the things that I've overcome, are for me to help someone else. Because I'm not alone. I'm not the only one that any of this has happened to. So in order for me to teach someone else something, or to be an encourager or influence, or whatever you want to call it, I had to go through these things, because if I hadn't, I couldn't explain it. I couldn't testify about it. I couldn't be a help to anyone, because then I'd just be telling things maybe I read in a magazine or I read in a book. But when your testimony is your own personal experience, and where people can see you and see how you are persevering even in the ugly, wow,
Mm-hmm.
that's God. Because it's not me. I couldn't do this on my own. I don't have the strength for it, but he gives me his strength.
Mm-hmm. I don't even know what to say. You've been through more than most people have gone through in a lifetime. Do you know what I'm saying? And well, you have. And I guess what I'm thinking of is while you're even just talking about all these things is, so did you have like heartache, pain, trauma, and you said you weren't dealing with them? So what that tells me is like you were just existing, you just kept on existing, and so you were dealing with the childhood abuse from the sexual abuses, and then you were dealing with the stuff when you were 16, and then you were dealing with like just everything throughout your whole life. And then when you were going through the difficult part of your life, where, let's be honest, the enemy was attacking you, not only in your marriage, which was very important to you, but even in your health, in your body, in your livelihood, in your finances. I mean, you were getting hit like in every single area. So when you say like Job, I mean, your story, yes, yes. And so, are you saying that when you were going through all that stuff, plus the losing of your family, you said all in a short period of time, and then your son, and when you started going through all that stuff, is that when the 7-year-old and that stuff started coming back again, and started the pain started resurfacing?
Yeah, it really, I mean, there was times, of course, up until my marital problems, that I would trigger and think about stuff, and I would just try to push it away and push it away. But when I was going through the issues in my marriage on top of the medical issues, was those two combined were just really traumatic. So much more started to come up. The memories were, I mean, it was flooding like a rerun of a movie. And it struck me in different ways, where before I was able to maybe push it aside. And that's the thing. I pushed it aside way too much. I didn't deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so this time it was so in my face that I couldn't push it away, because it started to affect who I was. I didn't recognize myself, because I've always been this happy, bubbly person. A lot of it, I will say, was fake, because I didn't want people to know my hurt. And so I would smile over it or joke over it and that kind of thing. But once I started, I think it was right after my son was killed, that I said, I can't do this no more. I have got to get some help, because now everything is crashing down. Yes, my marriage had been restored, and we were still working through some things, and I'm still dealing with health issues, but this really just ripped my heart out. And so those triggers of those memories were just pouncing on me. And so I began to counsel with Minister Betty Rice. And it was with her that she helped me to just face those things. It first started with Elder Brenda Clark, when I was first counseling with her, when my marital problems first started, and she had me sit and say all the things that I wanted to say to my dad when he was hurting me, because he was verbally abusive to me, that I never said. Or to my mom, the things where she hurt me, or my brother, and she had me do that before. But then when I got into counseling with Minister Betty Rice, she began to help me really explore my heart, and come to find out I had pushed so many things down that I was trying to fool myself to thinking that I can handle this, I can do this, because I always consider myself the fixer.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's another way I understood what Chantel was telling me about me slapping God's hand away, because I kept saying I'm the fixer instead of saying he's the fixer.
So let me ask you that really quick. So do you believe that you becoming the fixer was almost like, I have to protect myself because no one else is going to do it? And then so when you said like pushing God's hand away, I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. I see you like a superwoman in the way that you were just like, okay, I just have to keep on going. I just have to keep on doing what I got to do. I have to, just pushing stuff down. She's like, I got time to deal with this. We got life to live. I have kids to raise. I got a job to take care of. I got a husband, I have all this stuff. We life still is happening. So we got to keep living, and lifing it. Right. And so I don't got time to deal with this. And that's like what I'm kind of discerning while you're talking.
Mm-hmm.
And
that
so
was me.
when you were, smacking the Lord's hands away, like your friend said, and that's so beautiful. I love the way that she gave you that word. But it's because that's all you knew, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was just how to exist. You didn't even know how, Lord. It's like when you were at a young age that you really didn't know how to, didn't have anybody else, like to really a safe place a
Yes.
safe place. So you're like, I have to be my safe place. I have to take care of myself. And so it's had me go into this for a reason, because so many women do that. I know even like women that I know, and they just think like, okay, and even some of my girls that are listening, listen up. They're shaking their heads. Because you're ministering to them right now, is you got to let the Lord deal with this stuff. You know, we're all walking through our own process where the Lord is bringing that stuff up to deal with it within us. But I see the way you had to get to that place where you were just so used to, I'm taking care of things. Life has to keep happening. I have to protect myself, to where you had to go to a complete surrender, which was from here all the way to here. How did you bridge that gap? How did you go from this to this?
I had to get sick of myself. And that was the surrender. That was the biggest surrender, to get sick of myself, because I had to realize that I can't do this on my own anymore. Because each time I tried to do it on my own, if it worked, it didn't work for long, or it didn't work at all, or it took me into something even more devastating or harsh than the original trauma or whatever. And I didn't want to pass that along to my own daughter, you know, not my boys either, but definitely not my own daughter. But it took a while, because I wanted them to always see me as strong. I never wanted them to see me weak. And I remember my daughter saying, when she talked to my husband, and it was after we had reconciled, and she told him, I want to forgive you because I want my relationship still to be strong with my mom, but you have caused her to be a weak woman, and I've never seen her weak. She's always been the strongest woman I know. And when she told me, she said that broke my heart, because I don't want her to see me as weak, but I don't want her to see me as somebody that's always trying to be above what God can do for me in my life. I want her to depend on God as well, even in those hard times. But I want to show her, and that because I let God in, and because I trust him, and because I surrender, this is what he will do. Because my hands aren't the fixing hands. His hands is.
Amen.
And so to bridge that gap, it really took me to become humble and stop being stoic. Because I did a devotion once on being stoic. And basically, I used to think stoic was a good thing and a good word. And in a certain context, it could be. But what it really means is to put up a wall and to block people out, block things out. That's what I would do. I was good at it. And I used to brag that I should have gotten an Academy Award for some of the performances I did in front of people, to make them think I was just this good person, or this strong person, or nothing is bothering me and nothing's going wrong in my life. But behind the scenes, that wasn't me. I was a broken person. And I never allowed God to fix me, because I felt if I can fix others, I could fix myself. I was placed in that position when I was a kid. When my parents fought, they each came to me to vent about the other. Or when my mom got sick, it fell on me. My brother got sick, it fell on me. And then I was a teen mom. I got married at 18. I had 3 children right away. I worked. I had kids. I was going to school. So it was all on me. And I thought, this is what life is supposed to be like. Because when I got pregnant at 16, my grandmother told me, your childhood is over. You're an adult now. And when my mom had her first stroke, her mom told me, I raised her already. It's your turn. So I felt everything was always all on me. And so that's how I lived my early adult life, with everything being on me. But when I met my husband, it took me a minute because he's an amazing caregiver. I wasn't used to that. And then I think I let my guard down and and I got vulnerable for the first time, but I didn't get vulnerable in the right way.
Can
I
you
did.
speak into that for a minute? Like, what do you mean there?
So what I did was I allowed myself to let him do everything. And I forgot who I was.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot how to be me. But at the same time, I really didn't know the real me because I had been pretending for so long. And so instead of being vulnerable enough to partner with him, I was vulnerable to the point that I was more separate from him, if that makes sense. We didn't have that communication that we should have had. We didn't have that oneness that we should have had. When we were in church together, people thought we were great. We dressed alike, we looked, we did all of that stuff.
You guys do always look cute in your pictures and everything. Yeah.
I'm not saying that we didn't have a good marriage in the beginning. We did. We really did. But we didn't learn how to partner together.
Yeah.
And so I didn't take that wifely strength that I should have had to be that partner for him. And he didn't have that true affection that I was looking for. And so we were existing together in the same house. And we had been married 15 years before it hit the fan. So after that, my vulnerability actually became more weakness. And I didn't know how to get out of that weakness because, again, I was trying to do it myself. Now, I don't want people to think that I was always a victim. Yes, a lot of tragic things happened to me. But even with those tragic things, I hurt people's feelings. I said things I shouldn't have said. I done things I shouldn't have done. I wasn't always the victim. Sometimes, like the movies, I'm the perpetrator, I guess, and I had to come to that realization that I've hurt others as well. I've said some hurtful things to people, and I need to take accountability of that as well. And so I could not be one-sided. And for a long time, I was one-sided because it was always, why me? Why? And so I needed to learn how to step in somebody else's shoes to see what was bothering them. Like my husband has gone through many tragedies in his life, but I was focused on mine. Instead of us coming together and working together, praying together about these things that we can both have deliverance. No. But we're learning now.
Right.
Because it's taken us through a transformation I never expected. I really didn't. I expected to be divorced.
Wow.
But he worked it out. People, and some people thought I was crazy. I wouldn't stay with no man that cheated on me, all of that stuff. And I stayed because God told me to. Had he not told me to, I wouldn't have. I know I wouldn't have. But I obeyed. Yeah. Because then he said, I got you.
As you're talking about all these things, and I just want to encourage people really quick while I'm on here. I see like a lot of people watch, but they don't hit the like button. So I can see all the people that are watching, but one like. So guys, help us out. Let's spread this. Let's get the word out. This is a good testimony. Hit the like button and share. A lot of people watch them, but I think they like get into the show and then they forget to hit like. And my girls always tell me, Nate, tell them like, comment, share. And I always forget. So I saw it in the corner and I hear one of my girls' voices in my head, tell them like, comment, share. So I just wanted to throw that in there really quick, guys. Let's get this out. People need to hear this. This is a really good testimony. And my gosh, it's a lot. But while you were talking about all of this, I was really thinking like you got to this place to where you're such a strong woman, but it was like you're pain, you got to a place to where your pain was speaking louder than your purpose. And so you were like, I have to deal with this. And then even like when you were just talking about you and your husband, it's you said you guys were, coexisting, but not, existing together. And so when you were talking about that stuff, it's like I almost see the way that after that event happened, right, that you guys ended up probably all that you guys are probably closer now than you've ever been.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I can see through the tragedy, through the heartache, through the trauma, through the pain, I can see the way though, like I can see like God's hands working this out in you throughout the whole process. That he didn't cause any of that, but I could see the way that he really used what the enemy meant for evil and turned it for good. Because I mean, you guys are, let's be honest, you're walking miracles. In regards to just your testimony. I mean, most people struggle their whole life with what you experience at 7 years old. That's so tragic within itself. And then the other 2 times throughout your life, the other 2 years that you mentioned, that's enough within itself. But all these other things as well, you are a walking miracle.
Yeah.
And then because other people could have really just broke down and fragmented, and they could have just lost it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the Lord literally protected your mind, your soul. Do you know what I mean? Everything through this whole process. But I can just see the way that he was like working in through things, and the way that coming up to all this, how you guys are stronger now than you've ever been. Right. And then the way that even with you and I think that your vulnerability, and I do want to get into this before we end up getting off, but I think even your vulnerability, and that's something that you mentioned about how you said about your daughter, and she saw like a weak person. And I think when you were talking about her speaking on that, it was probably because you were very, you're broken, the woundedness was showing, right? Is that what but I look at things, vulnerability, I see it opposite. I see like that's a strong person, because everybody can put on a fake all day long. Right? And even like when I'm around certain men and, God's touching or whatever, church, or when I'm interviewing certain people, or even when I walk down the aisle with my husband, like they were crying. And I look at that as a strength, where men are like, I feel weak because I did that. No, that's what a real man does, that you are transparent enough that you will allow your emotions to show. Because I feel like we live in a world where people don't want to let their emotions and let their vulnerability show. And that's really a strength. And the way that you could come on here and just laid it all out and shared all of these things, I'm like, wow, what a place of vulnerability and strength there, for you to come and just lay all this out in front of everybody, and just all these different things, like your life and these difficult things, for you to come on here and just share with the public and write a book about it, and be like, look, this is what I went through, but look at my God is greater. Look, I went through all this, but he was bigger than everything I went through. I'm an overcomer, and you're a walking testimony and inspiration. So I want to thank you for that. You've really touched me just hearing all this. And I'm like, one episode is not enough. I wanted to ask you though, with all this process, I know you talked about Betty Rice, and you talked about, how you had Brenda and stuff, and you said about how they had helped you. And I know they work in those areas. Trauma and pain and stuff like that, sometimes we don't know how to deal with it. Absolutely, Dr. Sharice, but God. Sometimes we don't know how to deal with that. What did that look like for you? Because you were used to being such a strong woman, and you had to go through that place of being vulnerable. How did you open yourself up for God to heal you of those traumas and the pain and the heartache?
Yeah. Well, it took letting my guard down, because I was always guarded and always trying to protect myself. And so I think even in that, I think the Holy Spirit allowed me to finally feel the pain. I mean, I have felt it before, but I mean true pain, in order to let my guard down, to get me to the point that I could not do anything about it. It could no longer be me. I had to get out of my own way. And so the more I got out of my own way, literally, I would sit on the side of the bed just crying hysterically. Scared my poor dog to death. He didn't know what to do, because at this time my husband and I were separated and living apart. And so I spent many nights not sleeping, just crying and crying. But I look back, I was thinking about this actually probably about a month and a half ago. I look back at all those tears as a cleansing process.
Wow.
That I had never done. Yes, I've cried. Yes, I've screamed and hollered. I've had a argument verbally with God. I'm mad at you. You let this happen. That's how I talk with him, But those tears were tears that finally needed to flow out of me in the right way. Because I had held so much in for so long and for so many years and not let it out. Yeah. That was a way that I got to pour out all of the ugly and really, really be vulnerable to the spirit. And it humbled me. I mean, I didn't, you hear the word humble, right? I never really knew what it truly meant until it really happened. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it makes you not limp in the spirit, but limp in your emotions to where you can receive. Because like I said, I was trying to be stoic and have all these blocks up everywhere. And so when you're in that stoic position, nothing can get in. Nothing can get in. And what was the point of praying and asking God to do anything if I wasn't going to let him in? It made no sense. And so I couldn't keep asking him to help me if I didn't allow him to help me.
Right.
But I needed to be cleansed. My heart needed to be cleansed. And I believe with all the revelation that I was having from the past, all of the tears that was flowing, all of the things I was writing down that was bothering me, hurting me, needed to happen. Because at the same time that I was writing those things down, I didn't have the voice to pray. I didn't know what to pray. So, I began to just look up prayers, Google them for whatever the subject was. Mm-hmm. If it was heartache, I looked up scriptures. If it was resentment or abandonment, I did it. And I made these cards and I put these prayers up on these cards and I read them faithfully every day until my own words were in the place of it. And I remember telling a friend of mine about those prayer cards, and she said, well, that's not really praying because you're taking somebody else's prayer. I said, honey, any way I pray, I'm going to pray. Mm-hmm. Whatever it takes for me to pray, I'm going to pray. It does not matter. As long as I'm sincere in my heart,
yes,
those words are mine.
Amen.
I don't care if they came off Google. I don't care where they came from. They're mine. Mm-hmm. Because I'm applying them to my life.
Absolutely.
And so even in that, I wanted to know what God had for me. What do you want for me? And I began to look up scriptures on the promises of God. And I began to recite them to myself. And so that was, the methods that I took in my vulnerable state for letting him in to help rebuild me. I love praise and worship. I've been singing all my life. I even made my own playlist, though I'd have my own praise party in the middle of my living room at night. I just stand there and just keep singing these songs over and over again because I couldn't sleep. So why not? Yeah. And so I had to come up with different strategies in order to move myself, my humanness out of the way and let the Spirit of God come in to help cleanse and heal and restore and build me up. I loved the prophecies I was receiving. I loved the words that I was getting from others. Dr. Carla was a huge instrument in helping me and counseling me as well as encouraging me to write the book. But I needed the Holy Spirit more than I needed a human voice at so many times during this tragic moment, because it was only God's voice that was going to help me. It was the only one.
Mm-hmm. So that time, I want to take us back really quick to where you said you were in the car and you heard his audible voice. Mm-hmm. When you heard his voice, was there any, besides just hearing his voice, was it like, was there anything that came with his voice? What I mean was it like a defining moment? Was there like a healing that took place? Was there a, recognizing, wow, God, a surrender. I really need you. Look at what I almost just did. Like, where was your head out during that time, during that trauma?
Yeah, actually, when that happened and I couldn't turn the wheel of the car, I actually felt a relief.
Mm.
You know, but then that in a few seconds, I thought, well, maybe I'll try it again, and at another exit or whatever. But I could never bring myself to do it even after that. But that sense of relief, it felt like I had a hand on my shoulder, And so I kind of honed in on that feeling, thinking that, okay, he's trying to hold me together. Because I was in the car crying hysterically. So my vision was already blurred from the tears and the fact that I had to take my glasses off, so I really couldn't see, And so I felt that he still had a hold of me because I continued to drive. I drove all the way to Colorado Springs that day. But it was just that calm sense of relief that someone had their hand on my shoulder.
Mm-hmm. During this healing process, did you ever become aware that when some of the hardest, darkest moments the most difficult places that you were in during that breaking process where he was making you and building you up in those places, did you ever feel like in those places, those vulnerable, we'll call them dark places, that you never felt closer to him than before? Did you ever feel that intimacy during those vulnerable moments?
It took a while. In the beginning, no, I felt like he wasn't there. I felt like he didn't hear me, that he had left me. And I remember it was the weirdest thing. I was laying in the bed trying to go to sleep. And you ever fall asleep, but you're not really asleep. You can still hear the things around you, but you're kind of asleep. Well, what happened was, I never had this happen. It was really weird. I couldn't hear any sound in my ear. And my eyes was closed, but everything was pure white. Mm-hmm. And when I woke up, it felt as if a blanket had covered me. Wow. And I thought then, okay, what is happening here? First I have no hearing, and then I see only white. But now with my eyes open, I feel a blanket. And it took me a while to understand that he was still covering me, even when I couldn't see anything, and even when I couldn't hear anything. He was still covering me.
Mm. Beautiful. Yeah. It's very beautiful. I know we only have a few minutes left. I did, and I don't care if we go a few minutes over. I don't want to rush this. I did want to ask you if you would just give some encouragement. I know that there are ladies on here who have had trauma in their own families, loss of children, divorces, a lot of different things that you spoke about, physical trauma, a lot of different things that you spoke about. I know that a lot of people on here can relate to that. I wanted to ask you to just give them, Lord, if this was somebody speaking to you back then, if you would speak to these women that way, what you would want somebody to have told you.
I would want someone to tell me, and this is what I'll tell anybody myself: don't let your strength be your wall. You can't get anything accomplished with a wall up. You can be selective of who you talk with, who you counsel with. But in all things, get to someone who can walk beside you. There's someone for everyone. that will walk with you, that will not judge you, that will not try to tell you what to do from their own senses, but will literally pray with you. Sometimes just sit with you, let you cry, whatever that takes. But it's okay to let your natural guard down in order for your spiritual guard to take a hold of your hearts. And that guard is the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit will guard your heart, and he will bring you comfort. But if you do not surrender 100%, the triggers will continue. And even sometimes when you surrender, they will continue. But the more you surrender, the more strength you gain. When those triggers come up, you have more to fight with. You know exactly how to turn them back off. You know exactly how to rebuke them. Mm-hmm. It's okay to tell Satan to shut up. Stop talking to me. Leave me alone. It's okay. Mm-hmm. Because I learned that he was just trying to destroy me. He was trying to take me out. Why? Because God has a purpose for my life. Mm-hmm. I've always wanted to teach, but in the school system, in the college level, I never saw myself being in fivefold ministry as a teacher. Mm-hmm. But had I not gone through what I went through, had anybody not gone through what they went through, you can't get to your purpose. There's purpose in pain. We hear that all the time. And I thought that was a cliche saying, but it is so true. But even in the pain, there's always someone that will walk beside you and carry your burden with them and help pray you through. Mm-hmm. Always. But they won't be there if you don't let them in. And for so many years, I didn't let anybody in. I was okay with encouraging others, but I wouldn't let nobody encourage me. Mm. So it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to let your guard down. That's not weakness. That's stability. Yeah. That's smart. That's showing yourself that I can do this with God's help. I can do this as long as I give him control. As long as I take the back seat and give him full control in the front so I can follow his lead, I can do this. They're going to be hard days. I had my grief day. It comes and goes. But I know now who I can turn to. Yes, I've been in grief counseling groups the last 2 years, and I love them. And now I'm actually able to contribute to those that are coming in to that, group that just experience a loss, while still gaining my healing myself. The healing process continues. It's not one and done. It always continues. Because you have good days, you have bad days, you have ups, you have downs, you have those memories. But turn the memories into testimonies. And watch what happens.
Yeah. That is absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Dr. Angie, for what you just shared. And while you were, speaking on these things, there really was such a level of anointing when you were speaking into this. And the Lord is really putting on my heart while you were talking that people can speak into things, but there's a difference between people talking about things and those that have actually been through it. And the level of anointing and the oil that they were crushed to carry that oil. And when you were speaking and encouraging the men and women on here, I could literally see like the oil just from everything that you had been through and the level of anointing that was on your words, just because of the process that you went through. You have paid a hefty price for the oil that you carry. And he's faithful, right? Yeah. He didn't cause anything but he has walked you through healing and all that stuff. But I'm like, the process and the work that you have done, it is evident by the anointing that is on your life. Yeah. And so what you said was very anointed and needed. And thank you so much for coming on. It was such a blessing. I want to encourage everybody to go and order her book, and I'll connect with her and see if we can get her back on and talk some more about things, because there's just so much wisdom, so much to share. You're such an amazing teacher. You're an amazing teacher, like even just to come on and teach something, but we'd love to have you back on. And I just want to thank you, because I know you really did bless so many people this evening. And I know that people that continue to watch this, I mean, it's just the Lord's hand was just all over tonight. And so thank you for just coming and sharing, and for your transparency, and just everything that you shared to bless the people and bless me. And God bless you, and we love you, and we hope to have you back on again.
Anytime.
Yeah. And so until next time, guys, we're going to go ahead and say bye, and we'll see you next Monday. I am having a Bible study on Thursday on Zoom. If anyone is interested, there is a email that you can email to get the link, and come and join us, and then let's study the word together. There we go. Thank you, ladies. Go ahead and just reach out and come and join the Bible study with us, and just have some time together in fellowship and read the word, get into the word. But thank you for coming on, and everybody have a blessed rest of your evening, and we will see you either Thursday. If you don't get on the study, I'll see you on Monday when I come for the show on Monday to teach. Have a blessed evening, everyone. Bye.